Forever. Dog.
Did you see the Joker trailer?
The second it came out.
Really?
Yes.
You have an alert set up or something?
Well, you know how they sent earlier in the day that little tease of him laughing in the courtyard, and it was like 6 p.m. It drops. I was like, see you then. 6 p.m. I logged on. I watched the trailer.
More importantly, did you watch the hundreds of Joker trailer reaction videos on YouTube?
No, I value my time.
By
Brett.
fellows very, very similar to us, very similar to our shtick. We do a movie podcast.
YouTube movie guys.
That's right. Couple of YouTube movie guys.
I love my brothers.
We have not. Well, where is our? We got to do our Joker trailer reaction video.
I am ready, willing, and waiting.
Keep an eye out. Maybe there will be a Movies Baby Joker trailer reaction video
I like
coming
that,
your
Brett.
way very soon.
That'd be fun.
Maybe as soon as tomorrow or the weekend.
What
Who
do we
knows?
think?
But we got to play this game because it's a little cottage industry. These trailer reaction videos.
Look.
What do they do in them? I've never watched a single one.
Freeze. Okay, now here you can see this is the Harley outfit from the 1987 comic. Blah blah blah
Shit,
blah.
I don't know
That
any
kind
of
of shit.
I don't know any of that.
Who cares?
All right, we'll make.
Stop.
We'll
This
figure it
reminds
out.
me of the last Halloween. The Joker. What's like the Joker? That's the Killing Joke is referenced here.
I've read The Killing Joke.
Me too. But
Maybe
like,
we'll say
I'm
everything is based on The Killing
like,
Joke.
yeah.
This week on Movies Baby, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? Something's got to give, baby. And I'm not talking about Nancy Myers Hampton's porn. I'm talking about Monkey Man, Dev Patel's directorial debut. And I'm talking about The First Omen, the latest in the Omen franchise, and also a directorial debut of Arkasha Stevenson, plus lots more. Joe, are you ready?
You know it, Brett.
Margot, roll that theme song! Oh, feeling good.
Feeling great.
I can't get enough movies, baby. I can't get enough movies, baby. But how about you? Do you have it bad too? Whenever one ends, it's like the death of a friend. I get to wishing that there were 2 more reels. Then a voice cries out, "Move, baby, you're in my seat, and you don't want to mess with the Philly movie freak."
I can't get enough movies, baby.
Playing a little peekaboo.
I can't get enough movies, baby. Hey, how about you? Oh, you've got it bad too?
They've got it bad. They wouldn't be here otherwise.
Well, every night of the year, like the full moon, I appear at every movie theater all over town.
Every single one.
Roll credits, black
to
and
black.
white. Oh, baby. I gotta take a seat and I gotta talk to my dog. It's the Georgia Movie Dog.
I can't get enough movies,
Oh, I
baby.
can't get enough movies,
I
baby.
can't get enough movies,
I
baby.
can't get enough movies.
Yeah!
Welcome to Movies Baby, the ultimate podcast where we talk about Hollywood and the movies. And I forgot my copy again, and Brett's gonna kill me. And I'm Joe Cilio, also known as the Philly Movie Freak, here with the great and powerful Brett Boehm, or as I call him, the Georgia Movie Dog.
Go Dogs, Joe! One of these weeks you're gonna get that song in those in those intro.
I don't mean it
that
as
intro
disrespect,
copy correctly.
but it's coming off as disrespect.
It feels like it a little bit.
It's not, but I'm sorry that it feels that way.
That's okay. Disrespect can be unconscious. It's not always intentional. Joe, we
dare
took it
you.
a little easier on ourselves this week after last week's Godzilla-thon. We did not watch 15, or in my case, 16 Godzilla movies, but we watched a couple movies this week.
Hey.
It was nice to relax and watch a movie, and not be like, oh, I got 12 more Godzilla movies to watch. Oh, my God.
It actually was. Like, if we watched a movie a day and like half of those days we did double features, it would still be like half of the movies that we had to watch last week. But Brett, honestly, when I got home from our podcast of the Godzillas,
Yes.
I watched a movie. Like
I know.
I'm voracious.
Joe, I'm not kidding. When I got home from last week's show, I watched Mothra vs. Godzilla again.
You're kidding.
I did. Because the way we talked about it, I was like, because, it's like, it had
That's
been
sick.
so far. I know.
Is it a great movie? You're ill.
It was so far back because it's what is it? It's
like the third one.
Fourth, I think, because it's we can't do this right now, but it's the fourth one.
Okay.
And then and then you're up to 15. It was so far back in the watchathon,
Right.
but we said such nice things about it that were true. I was like, oh, that's right, it's so good. I got to go back and oh, when those fairies with the cupcake hats are singing their sad song. Oh, Joe, I wept myself to sleep.
That's beautiful.
Yep.
I went home and I needed a change of pace, so I threw on Now You See Me. And wow, it was the perfect movie to throw on that evening. Wow. But we're not here to talk about now. We're not here to talk about Now You See
or
Me
Godzilla. You
or
can
Godzilla.
watch. Go back to last week's episode for that.
You can.
We watched 2 new releases this week: Monkey Man and The First Omen. We also watched a couple classics, which we'll talk about in our Letterboxd reviews. But let's start off with Monkey Man, Joe, because with Monkey Man, stakes are high on this podcast because this is the first. If I can access the board, this is the first of our fantasy movie draft movies.
That's right. With your first pick in our 2024
That's right.
fantasy
This is my
movie
first pick.
draft.
This is my LeBron James pick right here.
The first pick, I
My
picked
Anthony
Civil
Edwards
War,
pick.
but you picked Monkey Man, Brett. You picked Monkey Man.
Wait, did you go first in the draft or did I go
I
first?
did. You graciously let me go first in the draft.
this was my
I think.
okay.
I don't remember, but
my,
I think so.
my Kevin Durant pick then. This is my number 2 pick that ends up better than the number 1 pick. We'll see.
We'll see.
But
we'll see.
We'll see with our reviews. And I've not taken a look at your review yet, Joe, on Letterboxd, so I don't know. I'm just gonna say my review. I'm just gonna say it. I must be honest. We're being honest, right? Honesty is the trademark of Weekend at Bergman's, but it carries over
It's our
into
brand.
movies, baby.
It's
It's
our
our brand. So I'm gonna give my honest review of Monkey Man, and this could become a sort of corruptive kind of situation because we're voting on our own picks. But that's where the honesty comes in.
Yeah, we're just going to be honest.
We're just going to be honest, okay?
It's fine.
And what this is we picked what we think are going to be the best movies of 2024, new releases, and whoever has the most stars on our collective Letterboxd reviews of these movies at the end wins.
That's right.
Of course, Wolfman is out already, so I'm already into my backup. I saw the TV glow, but that's fine. I still got a full team for now. So Joe, Monkey Man. Do you mind if I go first with Monkey Man?
Not a bit. It's your first pick. I think
my
it's only
pick. I
fair,
should go
Brett.
first.
It's only fair.
So just a little bit, and Monkey Man just came out this past weekend. Just a little bit of the plot, but not too much of the plot.
Thank you.
Because I'm going to need everyone to go see Monkey Man this weekend if you haven't seen it yet. Because Joe, Monkey Man frickin' rules is my headline. But let me give you a little bit about the plot. Dev Patel, the director and the star, you know Dev Patel, incredible talent.
Dev.
AKA Monkey Man, is an underground brawler, and he fights in these underground matches that are part of this sort of it's sort of like pro wrestling meets street fighting, and it's all underground, and it's all about betting, and it's all promoted by Sharlto Copley, who he's been in stuff, but we haven't really seen him just at peak Copley since District 9. He is just killing it as this sleazy underground fight promoter. He's having so much fun. He's doing little dances. He's got his hair slicked back. He's got like a little suit on. He is great in this.
So happy to see him.
Now, Dev fights in these underground matches with a monkey mask on, and that's because, as we find out, his mother, when he was a boy, would tell him these stories about Hanuman, aka he's a monkey god in Indian mythology. And his mother, though, this is where we get to the sad part, his mother was brutally murdered when he was a kid by the local police chief and the police were working in league with local politicians and this very popular religious guru. Basically, this just insurmountable wall of power. Police, church, and state all working together killed Dev's mom. And they lived sort of out in a rural area. This power structure wanted their land. But Monkey Man's going to take them all down, all right? He's going to take them all on. He's going to take them all down. He's going to have his vengeance, but he can't do it alone. And so through a sequence of events, he ends up teaming up with this incredible cast of side characters, including an underground group of mystical trans warriors, which is such an incredible chapter in this movie, and a scheming drug dealer and a stray dog. This movie has an incredible cast of side characters in addition to Monkey Man. And I know right now you're saying there's a dog, there's bloody vengeance by a hero. This sounds to me like John Wick. Well, you're right in a sense, and because there's this clever little reference early on in the film where they acknowledge the debt to John Wick, or this is coming sort of in the wake of John Wick. But let me tell you what, everybody, Monkey Man is better than John Wick, and I love John Wick. But Monkey Man ups the game big time because Dev Patel made a hallucinatory, blood-drenched noir about vengeance in Indian history. He made a movie about an underground brawler, like I said, who dresses up like a monkey, who teams up with a group of mystical trans warriors to beat the living shit out of the church and the state and the cops. What more do I need to tell you? Go see Monkey Man. This movie has the most incredible collection of elements I think I've ever seen in a movie. Everything I'm like, yes. Oh, did I mention it's funny? Did I mention the soundtrack rips? Yes. And at the same time, as we've seen in a lot of movies, just having a bunch of cool stuff on the plate doesn't mean the movie is going to work, right? A lot of times having too much cool stuff means you can't get it all working in the right direction and the thing falls apart. But Dev, oh my gosh, what a deft hand Dev has as a first-time director. He just blends it all together. He sort of brings in the politics a little bit, but doesn't make it too over. Doesn't do too much of it. Brings in religion, but then sort of gets back into the fun violence and action. He just really weaves all these elements together in such an intoxicating blur. This movie is just an adrenaline rush from start to finish, and it's so much fun. And I'm almost making this all sound easy, but this movie, the more I was sitting there, it just hits you like a fist to the face, and then you're in the middle of it. But then sometime around the middle, there's a little bit of a nice lull, and I started to think to myself, this movie's taking some big ass risks. This is not an easy movie to make, because he's doing John Wick, and you could just do John Wick, and he could have a ball with doing John Wick, but he's doing John Wick plus political commentary, plus religion, plus gender identity. He's doing he's
the whole
class.
bag. Yeah.
He's doing John Wick plus all these other elements, and that's to me where the risk comes in. But not only does it pay off, it pays off big time, and that to me, and again, love John Wick. John Wick's amazing. But Monkey Man takes it to the next level by adding all these extra elements to the John Wick just core sort of structure of somebody going on a vengeance, killing spree. Dev fucking Patel. Oh my God. I was watching an interview too with Dev about the making of Monkey Man, and oh my God, everything I love about the movies he was saying in this interview about how they did not have a huge budget for this thing. This you think Dev Patel, Jordan Peele's producing, but this movie came together kind of in stages over time. Jordan Peele really didn't come in. Jordan Peele sort of saved it from obscurity, basically. Netflix, fuck you, by the way. Netflix literally was going to let this movie die on the vine.
Disgraceful.
They bought this movie and they were going to let it die on the shelf. What is wrong with you? What is the movie industry?
Slash, literally,
what is the movie industry?
Brett, as producers, what is the possible rationale for not championing
some sort
this
of
film?
weird
I don't
tax
understand.
incentive?
Who knows, Brett?
Give me a break. How do you sleep at night? You were going to let Monkey Man die on the shelf? But thank God Jordan Peele, and then I can't remember, I think it was Universal, right?
Yes.
Universal, yeah. So Universal and then Jordan Peele's Monkey Paw Productions group teamed up, and they bought it away from Netflix for a steal, honestly, for a bargain. I think they bought it for like $10 million. And which it made back in its first weekend already. So Netflix was going to let it die, but so my point is Jordan Peele kind of came in at the end of the process. So he wasn't a creative partner in this in any stage. But so this was really Dev doing the damn thing. And in this interview, Dev was telling stories about how they really were on a pretty shoestring budget. They were like throwing people through breakaway tables, and then they would have to piece the table back together because they couldn't afford a second breakaway table, stories like that. But you don't get any of that feel in the movie. This thing is slick start to finish. And I think and literally the only con is there's a couple little sort of plot holes or credibility gaps here and there, but here's why it doesn't matter, because this movie leans hard into a kind of hallucinatory surrealism at times, and it really starts to operate more and more according to a sort of dream logic.
Like the Ramayana.
Exactly, yeah. It starts to play as sort of like fantasy or myth.
That's myth,
and when it really leans into that, whatever little plot holes or credibility gaps, there was moments where I was I couldn't sort of track when he had his when he was had his super strength and when he didn't sometimes. But all of that really became very inconsequential once the movie leaned into this really intoxicating dream logic surrealism. And so what was really the only kind of like downside for me became almost irrelevant the more the movie went on. And I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I did not have a good week. I was a little under the weather, and this movie freaking brought me back from the grave, baby. There were not many people at my screening. To be fair, I went to an 11 p.m. screening on City Walk last night, but I was ready to jump out of my seat and cheer. I mean, this movie is so much freaking fun. Well, I got to go to the movies, baby.
No, I love that. Yeah.
So, I gave this a 4.5 out of 5 on Letterboxd.
Wow,
4.5 stars.
You
out
promise
of 5
you're not juicing your numbers, Brett.
I am not juicing my numbers. Everything I just said is exactly what I felt. I would not lie to you about Monkey Man. Okay,
no, you wouldn't.
I would not lie about Monkey Man. That's the truth about Monkey Man as I see it. Joe, what'd you think about Monkey Man?
Dev Patel, you did it. You did the damn thing. I love you. I fucking love you. You were the prince who was promised. None of these other guys got it.
Wow.
You saved men. You saved men in Hollywood. I love you. You're my hero. I fucking loved your movie, man. I loved Monkey Man. It was awesome. Here's some things I loved about it.
Yes.
I loved the action in the movie. Let's just start there.
Oh.
It's Slade. There was, a la John Wick, amazing action stuff. What was some of your? I loved when he took something in his teeth and then used that to stab a guy, cut his throat with a knife. That was amazing.
I had that on my notes. The best when he's doing the elevator fight and then he has he stabs the guy in the neck but not all the way, and the guy's trying to get the knife out, and then Dev takes his teeth and grabs the knife in his teeth and pushes the knife in.
That rocked.
And he is fighting oh my God, he's fighting against the church and the state and the cops, and he's just the Monkey Man, and he's got his all his his army with him and everything. But really, it's just, at the core of it is Monkey Man versus this massive power structure to avenge his mom, and you could not be cheering harder the whole time.
So Dev, I love the action. I love the work that you put into the choreography, and I love the love that you obviously have for action cinema the world over. Secondly, first-time director? Wow. Do you know how I know you were a first-time director? Because you had that ineffable thing. You had ignorance, like Orson Welles said, the most powerful tool in a filmmaker's arsenal. You didn't know what was impossible. So you, my friend, you took 500 people during the pandemic to Indonesia, and you brought them into a bubble. People got married in that bubble. People got divorced in that bubble. Do you understand? You brought 500 people through that with a lack of money, with a lack of resources, and you put your whole entire heart and soul and body into that film. Dev Patel broke his foot on this film. Dev Patel broke his hand on...
Dev Patel broke bones!
He broke his hand on this film.
For you!
That day, they flew him to a hospital outside of town, far away. They put a screw in his hand, and the next day, he was jumping through a glass wall. Because you are the man. You are the man. Do you know who you are, Dev Patel? You're our Clint Eastwood. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for you. I want 100 films. I want you to star in them. Your sinewy little body to be the star, the action star that you are. I love how you called your shot. Much like Clint Eastwood at different times in his career, or any action star. Making sure that you're positioning yourself in Hollywood how you want to be positioned, worrying about your image. Dev Patel was sick and tired of playing best friend, soft boy, tech guy, and he was like, I'm John Wick. I'm Clint Eastwood. And I'll show you. Do you know the camera work is... People I was reading were worried it was too shaky, too movie. Well, that's the youthful exuberance. That's the camera of youth. Do you know that he made a stuntman on set, one of his cam ops, so that they could all dance together in longer shots? And he was like, do you want to be a DP one day? And this stunt guy was like, I really do. He's like, well, guess what? Now you're the cam op, and we're all going to do stunts together.
That's what
in
I'm
long
talking
shots.
about.
That's
what I'm
fire,
talking about.
Bev.
And you can feel it. These action sequences, the way the camera moves, you feel the wooziness of being in a fight. You feel like you're getting hit. You feel like you're the one hitting somebody.
Yeah.
It's very immersive, very interactive, but in a way that's always sort of beautiful. And there is a dance to it, and it all goes back. There's that incredible scene when he gets rescued. There's like early on his first attempt at vengeance doesn't go well, and he gets rescued by this group of underground, like, mystical trans warriors. They all identify with this one Hindu deity that is like half man, half woman, and they are all either trans or like gender non-conforming, and then they're led by Alpha, The Alpha is the leader of the group. But they heal Monkey Man, bring him back, and there's an amazing scene. Like it's a classic like training scene, like Rocky or whatever. But the twist is he's punching this bag of rice in time with this other person on the drums who's doing this like drumming, and he's like punching
Zahir
with the
Hussein,
drums.
who's the country's premier that kind of drum guy.
I didn't know that. That's
Neither
amazing.
did I.
That's amazing.
They Dev begged him, like you know, the Bruce Springsteen of this particular drum, to please come to set, and he did.
Amazing.
And all the music we heard, that's the music that he was doing in the movie, like for real, without any additional stuff on top of it.
And it starts out wordlessly. Like Dev is just pounding this rice bag with just nothing but pure anger and malice. And then that person, what's their name?
Zahir Hussein.
Zahir starts working on the drums.
Yes.
And then Dev realizes, oh, they want me to punch in time with the drums. And so he starts punching in time with the drums, and then he starts to get a rhythm, and then he starts to really turn into a fighter just by following the tempo of the drums. And then he gets so good, he eventually punches through the rice bag, and all the rice falls out. And that's when they all know it's time for Dev to go back out in the world and try his revenge again. Yeah. And the second time baby is the charm, because he kills everybody all the way up to the top. I'm not ruining everything. You know how these movies go.
Ever watch a revenge movie? Come on.
It's so good.
But so that rice scene, do you know, like, so the gentleman with the drums, he played his part and they shot it that day, and they shot Dev's part differently, and it took Dev 6 months to cut together that scene to have it have that rhythm and musicality and match his punches to the music and such. Well, guess what? All that hard work, Dev, all of the stops and starts and the pandemic and the Netflix nonsense, what did it get you? Well, it got you everything, man. It got you Jordan Peele as like a partner in a cohort. How cool is that? It got you theatrical release. And the final thing I want to say about first, two things. Okay. Dev, how about that body? Here's what I love about Dev's body. This isn't a steroid body. This is a body that's been freaking built. He's still like thin and devy.
Yeah,
he's not like huge now, like
great
Kumail
wiry,
or Chris Pratt.
He
has
strength.
definition in his muscles.
Yeah.
Oh my Lord, you look incredible, bro. Holy schmoly.
It's a body that makes sense for the character.
Oh, it's awesome. It's so cool to see like a thin, you know how thin guys are secretly the strongest guys. This is like a thin guy who's like the Hulk of thin guys, beating the crap out of everybody.
I love the movie that like when he takes his shirt off to start training, like some of the characters like do like a woo in the movie.
Yes, I know,
because it's like echoing what the audience is doing. It's very funny. It's like I love when people in the movie like acknowledge that like, oh, this person is like it's supernaturally like hot and fit.
So cool.
Yeah.
And then finally, the politics. Brett's mentioned sort of the gender politics and the identity politics in the film, but also the insanely resonant Indian politics in the film.
Yeah.
This movie still is not out in India. I wonder why. The main character looks and dresses like Modi and basically runs the BJP and does all the things Modi does all over India and has. Also, the Indian election starts on April 16th. So for 6 weeks, they're going to be doing that. Modi's looking for a third term. It's Hindu fascism, or what do you call it? Hindu nationalism. It's what we have in this country. It's Christian nationalism.
This movie is like
it's what's happening.
This
in
movie
India.
is brave to an extent that I don't even fathom, because I don't even know the local politics to the extent of to understand how bold this movie is, but just sort of tiptoeing around the edges of it and reading some things and what you're saying, this movie is fucking like bold in its messaging.
Bold. It's bold and it's pointed at India, but also it's a message that anybody can understand. Yeah. Because if you haven't looked around, there's a bit of oppression going on, right? And I was thinking a lot about that oppression during this movie, and I was feeling very emotional. And here's a confession, movies, babies, lover. Guys, I cried in the movie theater during this film.
I love that.
I
love that.
don't. I'm an emotional person. I'm not like immune to crying at movies.
I believe it.
I can't imagine the last time I caught myself. I'm like, am I going to cry at Monkey Man at the fucking City Walk at 11 a.m. on a Saturday?
Yes, you are, because you're a
man.
Because you're a Monkey Man, baby.
Bawling.
We should all be so lucky to be Monkey Man. And I love
the mom thing, the fascism, the police, every time they
flash back to the mom and she's reading to him from the myths, and like, oh my God, it killed me. It killed me. The whole thing. It's so beautiful, and it's freaking bloody and violent. What a incredible combination of elements, Dev. You did it.
Dev can do it all.
He can do it
He's
all.
like a rom-com no-brainer. He's a cutie pie, patootie
He's an
pie.
A24 guy,
he's an A24 guy.
With the Green Knight.
Yeah, you can do weird stuff. He's a good actor. You can do your British. You can do American. You can do Lion. You can do Marvel or whatever he wants to do. And guess what he wanted to do? He wanted to be John Wick. He wanted to be Bruce Lee, whatever his favorite guy was. He wanted to do The Raid. He wanted to be Rocky. Dev, you are Rocky. You're 33. You save masculinity in Hollywood. You look amazing. And I loved your film. And I gave it 5 full stars.
Whoa, baby!
5
Whoa,
full
baby!
stars.
Do you hear that?
There
Do you hear
wasn't
that?
a moment I wasn't enjoying the picture.
That's true. That's very
There
true.
wasn't a moment I wasn't
That's very
enjoying.
true.
So I got out of the theater. I'm like, am I going to give Brett the full 5? I was like, I have no choice. I liked every second of the film.
Joe, I don't even know.
I loved it.
I don't even know where I took off half a star. I think it was to just. I literally think it was just to avoid the impression of insider
That's fair.
trading.
That's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. That makes sense.
All right, so Monkey Man then gets
9.5 stars.
Nine
out
and
of
a
the-
half. I'm putting it here, 9.5. So Monkey Man's, I don't know if you see that right next to it. It's a 9.5. 9.5 stars, and then we'll go from there. But that's, I mean, look, that's a hell of a start for me.
Also, how about I know it's not Mumbai, but
My top pick, it paid off. That was a good top pick.
I when you picked that pick, I was like,
You
I
told
don't
me
know.
that.
I was like,
I could have got it at second or third. You're probably right.
I was
but
like,
look,
I wonder.
I
No,
had a
you
feeling,
were right.
I had a feeling about Dev. He's been waiting to make this. And you know what? We've said it before, and I don't want to dwell on it because fuck them. But seriously, fuck you, Netflix. What is
Yeah,
wrong with
that's
you?
stupid.
Get the fucking Wall Street and tech out of
No, because you know what? I'm
all
sure
right?
like
This is fucking
whatever
bullshit.
dude, whatever like money power that be for Netflix India. This movie's politically aggressive. It's dangerous to the ruling class, this film. It's a problem.
Yeah. Well,
It's awesome.
And like you said, he does such a great dance of making it specific to Indian politics and Indian culture, but not so specific that it can't just be generalized as fight for the little guy, fuck the man. I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to is like, you know, fight the power is the message. And so that can then get applied to anything. But I love that he does make it specific to a place and a time and a specific moment.
You know, the beauty and brilliance of John Wick is that the violence is born out of his love for his dog, and that dissidence creates such an incredible energy and makes an amazing picture. But I kind of agree with you. I agree with you, Brett. Ultimately, at the end of the day, just kind of the courage, the sort of free-wielding nature, the like exuberance, the youthful energy of this film, sort of contrasted with like the steely confidence of the brilliant movie John Wick. I just liked it better.
That's where the risk comes
It's amazing.
in. Because, like, if I said to you, hey, Joe, you know what John Wick needs more of? Politics. You'd be like,
No,
what?
thanks.
No, thanks.
I don't want that.
But guess what?
I guess so.
In Monkey Man, it works.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
It was so cool. India, this is a fake city, but it kind of looks like Mumbai, is so, like, dreadfully cinematic. Like, how cool was, like, when you're in the slummy parts and the richy parts and like all of the ways it blends together and how vibrant and interesting these cities are. So unlike
and you get
kind of our
such
cities.
you get
Incredible.
so many classic like noir elements. You get alleys and neon lights and crowds in the street and rain puddles, and it's always night. You have such great like noir elements. Then you have these like mystical hallucinations. You have like there's one part that's basically a dream sequence. I mean, there's like, you know, when I don't want to give too much away, but there's sort of mystical parts. Again, the fight sequences. This is an incredible mix of elements. These gorgeous flashbacks from his childhood, which are the only parts. I guess that's the only part of the movie that's sort of like happens during the day, are those flashbacks, because they're so, now that I'm thinking about it, they're striking because you go, whoa, because it's like it's suddenly daytime.
Usually I despise people use movement in camera to cover up their self-consciousness about how they don't have any creative or professional or beautiful ideas about framing and photography. Not so with this picture. He has all the confidence in
It fits the story.
He wanted to do it.
Fits the story.
And he did it gangbusters, and
It's also, I mentioned before, I'll mention it again. It's funny. It's funny, but it doesn't like, it just like, it's funny in like, in specific beats and it nails the funny, and then it doesn't dwell on being it doesn't try to be funny. It's just like funny naturally in the story several times. But I laughed a couple times.
Me too. I love his friend, or like not his friend, like the
yes.
guy who kind of becomes his compadre,
the crooked like drug dealer who's like kind of
yeah.
like, but also who's getting picked on by all the horrible people, right?
Oh.
So no, I love that character, and there's some amazing needle drops. Oh my gosh, the first time they like take his crazy little car out, there's a great needle drop, and like it's
I love the little car,
which he calls Nicki Minaj.
Now we're just gushing.
Well, I can't
Sorry,
help but gush.
it's a 9.5, folks.
Listen, here's what I need everyone to do. Everyone that listens to this podcast,
We're just gushing.
and then you tell somebody, and maybe it can extend from there, and then they'll tell somebody, go see Monkey Man this weekend. Let's make Netflix rue the fucking day, the day that they put this thing on the shelf and then sold it for peanuts to Jordan Peele and Universal. Let's make Netflix rue the day, and let's give Dev Patel the honor he deserves. Everyone, go see Monkey Man this weekend. Tell your friends to go see Monkey Man. I might go see Monkey Man again.
I would
it's that
happily
much
see it
fun.
again. After I saw the First Omen transition, I thought about like, I'm just going to sneak in and kind of watch whatever 20 minutes of Monkey Man, but I couldn't find it because nowadays, or at least at City Walk, which is the only movie theater we talk about on this podcast, you know how
It's right next door. It's very easy.
back in my day, you know, it used to be like, oh, there's the little sign that says the First Omen, but now it's all secret because they don't want people doing what I want to do, which is to go into all the movies after your first movie.
Which is what all the kids did with Cruel Intentions, which we'll talk about on Weekend at Bergman's.
Patreon.
Yeah. The First Omen you mentioned?
I did mention the First Omen. The big horror release of the week, Brett, was The First Omen. Hold for note getting.
And Joe, of course, is our resident horror expert.
Yeah, right. I wish, folks, but I do love it. I love it more
Well,
than
he loves,
I love.
what makes an expert
anything.
other than love of the genre?
I have
I
a sincere love of horror, so I was very excited for The First Omen because once we started, all the reviews on Twitter started coming out. There was like people were like, "This is great, this is great." I'm always down for a studio's reboot of one of their famous pieces of IP. I know it's going to be bad every time. I don't care. I go because that's what I do. But First Omen's not like that, Brett. First Omen isn't just like your run-of-the-mill studio rehash. It was really confidently and really beautifully and scarily made by director Arkasha Stevenson. Stevenson did season 3 of Channel Zero, which is scary and good. It's a TV show, okay? But obviously, she has chops. Is it a woman?
Yes.
She has chops from that season of Channel Zero, which was great. But I mean, in First Omen, she really ups her game. So what is it about? It's in the 70s, a nun arrives at a nunnery in the Vatican, and blah blah blah. she gives birth to the devil. I don't know what we want me to say.
It's the Omen.
It's the Omen. It's the same thing as Immaculate, which I told you about the other week, except this time it's a little different. So
there's a conspiracy. There's a little detective sort of plot to get to the bottom of it all, but it's Omen beats. I mean, some of the Omen beats are just taken straight from the original.
You're getting a lot of
it's the Omen.
Stuff. It's the Omen
stuff.
stuff.
It's a prequel, but it's the Omen.
So it is notable in horror, always sort of what is the horror responding to? And I think our most effective horror movies are responding to something. Of recent memory, you know, Get Out was a cultural phenomenon because it was responding so truthfully and funnily and powerfully to current events. So it's really no surprise these days that 2 weeks apart from each other, we get a movie about a nun that has to deal with some insane birth that sort of removes her from her own bodily autonomy, and she has to suffer the Roman Catholic consequences. And that is hyper resonant these days as we sort of resurrect a 200-year-old laws regarding abortion and what women can do with their body. So this is where this sort of horror tremor is coming from. But I do love in The First Omen how that's very, very obvious. Exactly what I just said is true. But also this movie is not one of these modern horror movies that is so insistent on pushing its like trauma vision, sort of modern mental health nonsense onto our horror faves. The First Omen is totally happy just being a satanic freaking film with a lot of beautiful, scary, bold, satanic imagery, most notably, of course, during a birthing scene when you see very, 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 very much vagine, to quote the Sacha Baron Cohen's character Borat. But yeah, we have the devil's hand coming out of a cervix in no short order, and it was very powerful and scary, and I love it.
It was great.
It was
great.
good. The acting was really good. The main actress from from Game of Thrones, Nell Tiger Free.
She was fantastic.
She murdered. She did
fantastic.
great. Lots of great character actors, or not character actors, but like good actors playing fun roles.
Bill
like
Nye.
Bill Nye. Yes.
Charles Dance.
Yes, a lot of that fun stuff and really, really good. And Margot and I were speaking before the show. Margot saw the film at the Vista where they screen it on 35 millimeter, which is brilliant because this movie doesn't just try to evoke the 70s. I think it actually, more than any sort of these modern horror movies where it's like, it's the 70s, it's the 60s, it's the 80s. This movie really did look like a 70s movie, and I was very impressed by the cinematography.
And like Rome in the 70s
Yeah.
is such a cool
It
backdrop.
is so cool.
It's like student riots in Rome in the
Yeah,
70s.
it was
It's
cool.
everything looks so cool.
I just think it was
and they go to the disco at that one point, and oh my god, it all looked so cool.
It really did. I thought it looked great, had a lot of great imagery. Also, you know what I respect is that it had plenty of references to other horror movies, none of which felt overdone. At the end, it's very Rosemary's Baby, but you know what? It did Rosemary's Baby ending, but it built on top of it to such like a scary effect and gave me more demon and gave me more devil hands and gave me more blood and stuff, where I was like, okay, yeah. It's like heightened Rosemary's Baby. Okay. It gave me possession. It gave me The Omen, but it didn't feel forced. So Stevenson, thank you very much. You're giving me dribs and drabs of horror classics while making it your own. It looks like the 70s, but doesn't feel like you're doing this cloying, nostalgic bullshit. Basically, every single thing that you've done is in complete opposition to Ty West's vision of the 80s. His trailer for Maxine dropped this week, the third film in the X horror franchise.
Which Joe famously hates.
Which, this trailer is miserable. It has the most like Netflix 7 years ago look at the 80s and like the makeup. America's worst actor, Mia Goth, returns as America's least scary character, Maxine, or whatever the F her name is in these pictures. And Ty's like, look, he's so obvious and he's so boring and he's so simple that the literal Bates Motel is in the trailer. Not even a house that looks like the Bates Motel, Brett.
I don't know.
Every single thing Ty West is doing in that trailer, Akasha Stevenson is not doing in the very well done First Omen.
Yeah, this is a lived-in 70s. This is an authentic 70s. The period piece-ness of it is sort of there, but not overbearing. It just all feels very natural. I liked the First Omen quite a bit. I guess, and I wanted to see what you thought about this. I mean, it's very, there's a moment in the original Omen, which I'm sure you remember, when poor David Warner gets his head cut off by a plate of glass coming off a truck, and his head spins in the air, just spraying blood, and it's simultaneously like sort of silly and campy and beautiful and horrifying all at once. And that getting those three things, experiencing those three things together, to me is the elusive holy grail that I always look for in horror, where something is it's a little campy and it's a little technicolory, but it's also beautiful and it's terrifying. And when those three things happen at once, I'm in heaven. The First Omen, like a lot of contemporary horror, is just so dour, though. It's so dour and dark, and everything is just sort of like the darkest, dourest sort of the nooks and crannies of this disgusting convent and all the like places to get locked away in it, and I just long for just a little bit of that moment from the original where David Warner gets his head cut off, and I don't know, or even that moment where all the monkeys attack the car. There's something that they used to be able to do in horror in the 70s that I just don't. Now everything is like, I don't know what the impulse is to make everything so dour, and I want a little bit. That's why, to me, that's why I loved Midsummer. Midsummer was one examples of like, and look, the tone of Midsummer is very dour, but you get like light and color, and you like, I just want a little bit more of that. It doesn't have to be every movie, but I would like a little bit more of that. I love when horror plays off of sort of light and color and camp in a way, and doesn't need to be just the darkest, dourest, dankest thing ever to be horrifying. terrifying.
I agree. There was a lot of comments this week where it was like, and the First Omen really evoked Giallo, and I was like, why? Because it's in fucking Italy.
It didn't remotely.
It didn't.
That's what it lacks.
Not, exactly.
That's what it lacks.
Right. I agree.
It has none of the Giallo. Has none of the color. None of the
It's like,
spurting.
what
blood
part
that
of
is like
Giallo is
like
this?
Giallo. The essence of
What are you
Giallo
talking
is
about?
like blood that's so red that it's not blood anymore.
exactly.
Right. That's the essence of Giallo. It's blood, like what blood would look like in an opera. That's what Giallo is. Right. So everything is a little enhanced and exaggerated and a little more beautiful than it needs to be as terrifying and gross as it is. And to me, I don't know, the First Omen was just another incredibly well executed horror movie that's just so fucking dour.
There's no doubt about it. I think there was a couple moments of horror levity, just to mention. I did appreciate when a nun lit herself on fire, threw herself off a balcony, and then her body, like with the noose, swung back into the window and sort of broke it.
It
was so outsized that I was like, okay, that's sort of colorful. Additionally, though,
they one-upped because that's from the original Omen, but in this one she lights herself on fire.
I liked it
just to one up the original.
And I liked that very much.
The disco scene was a lot of fun, and then because you later find out that I don't want to give that away. I'm not going to spoil that, but the disco scene ends up being important later on in the movie.
I liked when that guy died and when they pulled the body. I think that because the horror moments,
gets cut in half.
The moments were so horrifying while still being beautiful images in the camera work that this wasn't as drib and drab and colorless and soulless as a lot of the modern horror fare or drama fare or television that we get these days. So, but I just want to, I guess, just like gentle pushback around the edges. But ultimately, Brett, I agree with you.
You know my point, though, right?
I do.
This is one of the better of what I'm talking about, but it still is to me it is an example of that kind of
grayness,
that just gray, gray, green, black is the only colors that they know exist. It's like, what's really horrifying is like color and light, and then horrifying things happen. It's like you don't, and there was there's like. The jump scares were fun, but they were jump scares,
The one when the blind shudders when she sees there's like a coat maybe hanging on the wall or there's like some sort of image in the darkness. Yes. The jump scares that are done in the film are really expertly crafted. And another moment of sort of horror levity was the possession moment when she did the big I'm acting crazy and my body's shaking and I'm like being possessed outside of the car thing that she did. Remember that? Yeah. Like that was really energetic, but ultimately as far as like the colors go and the dourness and I guess you're so right, Brett.
It just puts a ceiling on it on what it can accomplish. It just feels to me, when I see that tonal, that palette and that kind of style, it to me is a movie that's afraid to not be a run-of-the-mill horror movie. It's afraid to take some chances with its look and its aesthetic. But it nails a very traditional horror aesthetic, and it looks, like we said, it looks great.
It does look really good.
Looks great.
Yeah.
And you know what I like better than a jump scare that this movie does, and Talk to Me, one of our favorite horror movies from last year, does? Don't give me a jump scare, baby. Give me like a dark corner of a room that we see a figure like slowly slither into frame out of. That is terrifying. When you see a dark corner of the room and you're like, what are we supposed to be looking at? I know there's something there, and I really hope something doesn't jump into frame right now because that's so lame. And it doesn't. Instead, this weird creature slithers out of the darkness and then comes into focus slowly, walking towards camera, scary. And they don't cut. I love it. Yeah. The one in Talk to Me maybe it's a little bit better, but First Omen has a shot like that that's really scary, really terrifying. So that's the First Omen.
Pretty good. I like that very much.
Don't go see it if you got
bad.
the time. Don't see it before Monkey Man.
No, Monkey Man's
see it if you got the time.
Monkey Man's like I love that.
See it if you got the time. Now we also watched some older movies this week, which we review on our. Oh, you know what? Actually, before that, let's take a look at the box office.
How did these two films do?
How did these movies do?
How did they do?
How did we do, Margo? Show us the money. How did these movies do at the old box office? All right, what do we got here?
What the hell, Brett?
Well, what do you know?
Godzilla again?
What do you know? The rich get richer. So Godzilla Kong, I mean, a 61% drop, but still led the box office with what is that, 31 million?
Yep, 31 million more this week, bringing the
Jesus.
total to 134 million total gross.
All right, so Warner Brothers is happy. So
They're
Godzilla
living.
Kong, I don't know, how did it? Like,
well, this is disappointing.
I was expecting a week 2 plummet because of how bad the movie
Well,
is.
it did. It
but I
got
guess,
61% plummet.
Sure, I guess there just wasn't really anything big enough to compete with.
But
it.
look, but why Monkey Man got second? Okay, fine, I guess whatever.
That's
but it's a third of the revenue
Yeah, I know.
of Godzilla. It's a
I know,
third.
I
It
know.
got 10 million gross.
I think Monkey Man's gonna have a big week 2. I think people like us are talking about Monkey Man. People that saw it are talking about it, and I think Monkey Man's gonna have a big week
Love
2.
it.
And look, 10 million. That's literally Universal and Jordan Peele bought it for 10 million, so they already made all their money back. And Netflix, I think originally got it for 30. So Netflix, what are you doing? I think
Is that
so.
real?
I think Netflix originally bought it. They bought it for more than they sold it for. So I don't know what's going on over there. Who cares? They can all burn.
Whoa.
Now this is the
Jeez.
much like that nun in the First Omen.
Love that nun.
So this is the interesting part though. First Omen, man, not only lost to Godzilla Kong, also lost to Ghostbusters.
It got fourth with 8.3
Ghostbusters Frozen
million
Empire?
this week. The First Omen. So, like, will there be a second Omen? Like, I guess
No,
not.
I guess not. I mean, horror.
That's so stupid. Like, she makes this
off
amazing.
Of I think a 30 million budget.
She makes
too.
this amazing. It's such a hard gig.
Yeah.
Reboot the Omen and make it the first one. And she wrote it and directed it and did such a good job. And then, like,
People love horror. What happened to the First
I
Omen?
don't know.
The trailer was good.
I don't know. I know we're supposed to have some answers because we're hosting the show. I have no idea why these two movies
People
underperformed.
are going to the movies.
I guess we are going to the movies, but people still aren't, and the movies aren't back, and we're fools.
Are people like?
Are we fools?
Weird about? Or are people all getting all stuffy about religion again? Is that
No,
part
because
of it?
we just talked about when Immaculate came out, how it was Neon's biggest opening ever.
Sydney
Although
Sweeney,
it
though. That's the Sydney
it
Sweeney.
made $9-10 million, just like First Omen. I guess there's $10 million worth of people that want to watch a nun get impregnated by the devil. $10 million worth of people.
Yeah, because I'm reading here. Yeah, First Omen's budget was 30 million, so it's in trouble right now.
That
It's
sucks.
in
That's
trouble.
really Disney's only horror sort of
Yeah.
IP property that they got it in the Fox purchase, and now they just sort
I don't
of
know,
are stuck.
Joe. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like the First Omen did that poorly. But look, we had our criticisms of it, but it's better than that. It deserved a better opening.
It rocks.
Than that. Yeah.
It rocks.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't
I don't like
that
that either.
All right, like I was saying, we also watched some classics this week, which we're reviewing on our Letterboxd, and you can follow our Letterboxd. There's links in the show notes. I'm at BREYYYATTT. You're just at your full name. Right?
I'm at Joe Cilio.
You're at Joe Cilio. And Joe, I saw you did was it a triple feature?
I did on Monday night.
A triple feature of Boris Karloff movies?
I got to see a triple feature of Boris Karloff films at the New Beverly on Monday night, which was lovely because, folks, Karloff is my favorite actor.
So weird.
I love Karloff. He
Bizarre.
is the man. Not bizarre if you've watched any of the movies.
Look, I'm intrigued.
Okay.
Tell me more.
But look, here's my Karloff. Is your Karloff. It's the Karloff of Universal horror films, right? But this week I got to see 3 Karloffs that I have not seen before, and it was very, very fun to do so. So 3 films he actually made at Columbia Pictures. The first one they screened was in 1939, The Man They Could Not Hang. Brett, in The Man They Could Not Hang, Karloff plays a mad scientist a la Frankenstein now, Dr. Frankenstein, who can give a dead body life, right? It's such a good movie. So in this movie, he kills a young man to bring him back to life. But before he can bring him back to life, the police barge in and take Karloff away. Then he goes to trial, and in the funniest scene I've ever seen, Karloff is, judged by a jury of his peers, and then excoriates them all in a hilarious speech.
And Karloff's peers would be just
The jury.
Bela Lugosi and like
and Lon Chaney and all those
Chaney,
peers. That's right. So he goes to court, he gets tried, he gets convicted, and he gets sentenced to death. They kill him, but what happens? Karloff's assistant, he puts life back into Karloff, so Karloff is alive again.
I love it.
Surprise.
I love
it's
it.
awesome.
I love it.
So that movie rocked. Then the next movie screened, 1935's The Black Room, which is like a black and white, obviously.
That's where this picture comes
Gothic.
from, I think, that we're seeing
yes,
here.
it's like a gothic horror where Karloff does a Dead Ringers and plays two sets of twins. He plays aristocratic twins that are stuck in this prophecy that one's going to kill the other. And the nice Karloff comes back and the mean Karloff takes advantage. That was very fun. And then finally, the triple feature, it wound up with The Boogie Man Will Get You in 1942.
Great title.
Titles. Whatever happened to him?
What happened to
The
titles?
Boogeyman Will Get You, which was sort of, they do an Arsenic and Old Lace. It's a comedy starring Karloff and Peter Lorre, from M.
Yes.
The man who knew too much. And they're both doing comedy together. They did 4 comedy pictures together. And in this one, Karloff's an old crazy scientist and Peter Lorre's like the mayor. And then this couple comes to their remote town and opens up a hotel and hijinks ensues. It was mid, but it was so fun. It was such like a studio crank 'em out, like had to do it on the deal kind of picture. But it was so fun to see Karloff doing comedy. It was really, really cool to see these films. I wouldn't recommend any of them. But if you really like Karloff, I would recommend
For the real Karloff
heads, I mean, obviously you can watch all 276 of his films, but The Man They Could Not Hang.
Can you imagine?
The Man That Could Not Hang.
276.
Isn't that insane?
That's insane.
Frankenstein was like his 85th movie in 1931. That is incredible. Anyway, Karloff, you are the man. You live on the razor's edge between charming and dangerous, and that's why you're so amazing to watch on screen. It's not just your incredible look and your incredibly cinematic face, it's the way that you can really bring the menace and the sexiness to all of your characters. I love you, brother. God bless, God rest.
Well, that's what you watched on Letterboxd.
Yeah, that's the segment. Oh, sorry. And now I'm wondering, hey, what did my pal Brett watch on Letterboxd?
I think he's the only one with a Letterboxd.
Well,
God thinks he's the only one to go watch movies.
Brett, what movies did you watch this week on your Letterboxd that you want to tell the fans about?
Well, Joe, as you know, like any movie lover, I'm always just waiting for that new Criterion drop. When the first of the month comes around and Criterion Channel busts out those new playlists, oh baby, let me at them. And the one that I was really looking forward to in April was in the William Friedkin collection. They did a William Friedkin playlist, R.I.P., and they had Sorcerer in the playlist. And I was very excited. I'd seen Sorcerer. It's kind of a hard movie to find. I had seen it years ago, hadn't seen it in quite a while, and so I said, baby, I got to rewatch Sorcerer. And Sorcerer, of course, it's his, it's Friedkin's Heaven's Gate or his Apocalypse Now. It's that movie. All the big directors in the 70s played this fun little game where the more sort of power and prestige they acquired movie after movie, they wouldn't then go and do a Marvel movie or whatever the equivalent of that was. They would say, oh yeah, you're going to give me that. You're going to give me even more money to make a movie. I'm going to make the craziest movie ever. I'm going to go into the jungle and it's going to be impossible. It's going to be impossible. I'm going to make a movie that you can't make. That's impossible to make. That's what I'm going to do with all your fucking money. And Coppola did it with Apocalypse Now and somehow pulled it off against all odds. Cimino tried it with Heaven's Gate and brought down the entire studio. Not the studio system. He put the studios back in power. He brought down the dream of the 70s. He brought down the auteur era. And Friedkin did it with Sorcerer because he's coming off of 2 mega hits. He's coming off of French Connection and The Exorcist, right? 2 absolute, big hits in every sense of the word. Just box office, huge. Critical success, huge. Academy Awards, yes, please. And so then he goes to make Sorcerer his remake of Wages of Fear, the classic French movie, 1953 movie Wages of Fear. And if you haven't seen Sorcerer, very quickly, it's about a group of very desperate men who all end up in the same unnamed South American village, and they are so desperate. They need money. They are and he does such an incredible job in these quick vignettes at the opening of the movie. He does like 4 quick vignettes. And you don't have any idea how all these people are related, but 4 quick vignettes to establish how desperate these guys are, and without giving anything away, they're desperate. They are very desperate. They are at the end of their respective ropes, but they all have, like Liam Neeson, taken a very specific set of skills. They're good with sort of, they're good mechanically, or they're good sort of, they're good leaders, or this, and they all have skills, and so they all are in the same village at the same time. And this oil company down there needs, because of this blast that goes off at this oil refinery, they need this dynamite. They need dynamite at the oil refinery to like clear I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm getting too much in the weeds here. But basically, these 4 desperate guys have to transport this like leaking, super, super volatile dynamite across the South American jungle to this oil refinery. And they are taking it through these like dirt roads and literally through the jungle. And then in the climactic sequence, across the craziest suspension bridge you've ever seen in your life. And this massive truck is literally swaying in the breeze with the suspension bridge. The bridge and the breeze make this truck look like a toy, the way it's teetering back and forth and has all this dynamite on it. And how are they going to get across the bridge? It is, and look, the word is out on Sorcerer. I'm not telling anybody anything they don't know. This is a stone cold classic. It bombed at the time and it was a big mess, but God knows why, because it's an absolute banger. It's so good start to finish. You're on the edge of your seat. And that bridge sequence, Joe, oh my God, top 10 best scenes in movie history. That bridge scene is unbelievable. And they don't need to get 1 truck across the bridge. They need to get 2 trucks across the bridge. So they literally do the scene twice.
I love stakes.
They do the scene twice. It's unfathomable. The only thing it compares to is Fitzcarraldo, the Werner Herzog movie, where they drag the steamboat over the mountain. It's on par with that level of just gonzo in the jungle doing it for real filmmaking, and you just can't believe what you're seeing. You can't believe what you're seeing in Sorcerer over and over and over again. You can't believe it. But in addition to the thrills and the suspense, you get 4 really interesting core character arcs and character profiles, 4 or 5. And then there's moments of sadness, there's moments of levity, there's moments of just great sort of like jungle noir, like them in the bar in the South American village, and there's flies on the window, and everyone is sweating. You've never seen sweat like in this movie. People are just like sweat.
It's the best sweat movie.
I'm like, how do they still have sweat in their bodies? Haven't they sweated all out at this point? All they're drinking is beer. Where's the sweat coming from? But they just keep sweating, and they're just glistening with the sweat, and they're trying to drive this dynamite through the jungle. This movie is phenomenal. And you said it earlier this week. There's never been a man with a face more made for movies than Roy Scheider.
Except maybe the only comp
Boris
really is
Karloff.
Karloff, my guy. No, honestly, though, it's sort of a comp. They have similar
Roy Scheider has a
hills
face
and valleys
made
and
for the
canyons
movies.
in their
oh my
faces.
God, that face!
I love
you
Roy's
know
face.
that
We
face.
love that
You've seen
face.
it in Jaws. You've seen it in all that jazz. You've seen it in Sequest DSV.
And dude, Roy sweats so intensely, and his face looks so crazy and crackly and wrinkly, and well, Sorcerer is great.
Look, Sorcerer is great. And again, I'm not telling anybody
Whatever.
anything they don't know. Sorcerer is amazing.
It's no Kane Mutiny Court Martial, but Friedkin really had his act together on this one.
Go watch Sorcerer right now on the Criterion channel. You won't regret it. Holy hell. What's your favorite, just really quick, what's your favorite of the back? What's your favorite of the backstories? And I'll tell you mine. The 4 characters.
That's a great question. No, tell me yours. I mean, I guess I don't really remember the other guys.
The rich French guy cracks me up. The rich French guy who has like everything and then just like completely just like fucks it all up. There's a rich French guy who just has like this gorgeous house like that looks like right on the Champs-Elysees or something, and his kids look like Madeline coming back from school every day. And he's got this beautiful wife who's like a book editor, and she's part of some rich old family who he's married into. And somehow, we don't really know the details, but somehow he just fucks it all up with some sort of like fraudulent financial scheme that goes awry. But it's so he takes the biggest fall, I have to say. He takes a huge plummet. But my favorite of the backstories is Roy Scheider's, because in literally about 30 seconds, Friedkin does one of the most incredible critiques of organized religion I've ever seen in my life, where Roy Scheider is part of a gang and they're robbing a underground, I guess, gambling operation that's going on in the basement of this church. And so all the crooks come in through the church, and there's a wedding going on in the church. And they come on, they go through the wedding, they go down the basement, and they find there's priests and mobsters down there with a bunch of money, and they end up shooting one of the priests and taking all the money. But so the combination of this bookmaking, illegally gambling operation in the basement of a church that priests are involved in, and then meanwhile this wedding, there's a close-up shot on the bride. And the bride has just the biggest black eye you've ever seen, right? This is an abused woman. She's getting physically abused by the guy she's getting married to, and the biggest black eye. And it's so apparent, and no one is acknowledging it, and they are just proceeding with the wedding. They are just saying, essentially just that's part of the deal, that you're, and there's nothing anybody's going to do to stop it. And the combination of that shot of her face and then the gambling operation in the basement, just exposing the hypocrisy of it all, is such a stunning just 1-2 punch against organized religion. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it. It's amazing.
And it worked too.
It works.
Because there's no more organized religion. All right.
Okay.
I guess it wasn't that good.
The power of cinema.
Come on, Friedkin. Let's get your act together, and pretty good, I guess.
Well, Joe, we should say next up we're gonna go right into Weekend at Bergman's after a little 10-minute break here. And if you're on the Patreon, you can just ride along right with us, and you'll ride right into Weekend at Bergman's. If you're just watching on the Movies Baby YouTube, you can go subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys, and join us for Weekend at Bergman's, because tonight you're not going to want to miss this.
No.
Our 1999 series rolls on with our very first triple feature, baby. That's right. We're doing not 2 movies, as has been our wont, but 3 movies, because there's so many good 1999 movies. We had to do some triple features. Tonight, the theme is precocious kids, and that's right. We are watching Rushmore versus Cruel Intentions versus The Sixth Sense. This is a bloodbath.
Only
Joe.
one can win, folks.
Only one can win. That's right. We should clarify. 2 are going to the trash cannon. 1 is going to the canon as normal. This is insane. I don't know how I'm going to choose between these. You
got to join us, folks. You got to join us for Bergman's.
You can't miss this. And then we got some more exciting ones coming up. Next week, we're doing The Limey versus The Informer.
The Insider.
Insider, thank you. The Limey versus The Insider. After that, we're doing Fight Club versus Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. And Star Wars, I saw, is just one of several movies they're re-releasing this year, because this is the 25th anniversary of 1999. So The Mummy's getting re-released. We'll have to figure out a way to watch that, because it's in the trash canon. Phantom Menace is getting re-released. So a lot of fun stuff coming up on Weekend at Bergman's, but definitely tonight, fun stuff coming up with our first triple feature. And please sign up for our Patreon, patreon.com/moviesbaby with 5 Ys. There's so much fun stuff over there. You get full audio and video episodes of both of our shows, Movies Baby and Weekend at Bergman's. You get them ad-free. You get bonus content like Sarah Freilich's show After Death VHS, which is so good. You get trivia every week. You get a scene from the Forever Dog VHS vault every week. You get a beautiful frame every Friday. Frame It Friday, baby. Last week's frame was from Beau Travail. One of I think a deep cut from Beau Travail. Not one of the wouldn't be in the trailer. Deep cut from Beau Travail. That's what you get on Movies Baby, is deep cut frames from Beau Travail, baby. You get so much good stuff over there. It is the ultimate experience for movie lovers, and we're just pouring stuff into that Patreon every week that our movie lovers are gonna love. What do you think, Joe?
I think I'm psyched for Bergman's. You guys got to join us.
You got to join us.
You got to come on over to Bergman's. And you got to check out Monkey Man. And next week we'll be talking about Civil War, folks. Civil War right here on Movies Baby.
Joe's number 1 pick.
My number one pick. My turn. Civil War next week. Meet us back here Thursday night.
We got to be
6
honest.
6 p.m. Pacific, folks. We're talking
honest.
Civil War. See you then.
Bye.
Forever Dog.
This has been a Forever Dog production. Executive produced by Brett Boehm, Joe Cilio, and Alex Ramsey. For more original podcasts, please visit foreverdogpodcasts.com and subscribe to our shows on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Keep up with the latest Forever Dog news by following us on Twitter and Instagram @ForeverDogTeam and liking our page on Facebook.